Shh. Hear that? Big waves are calling. Dive into refreshment with Kona Big Wave. Tropical flavor and the taste of aloha in every drop. So crack one open and let the great taste roll in. Kona Big Wave, liquid aloha. Copyright 2025 Kona Brewing Co., St. Louis, Missouri. Mahalo for enjoying responsibly.
On this episode of Bantha Milk Podcast, we have something new.
That's me. I'm here. I'm new.
You sure are.
Intro music.
Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
Fashion. That's the end of our intro. James, holy cow, I'm very excited about this.
Hello, me too.
We, as in we, it's now you and I are the new we. Our good friend Nick has a lot going on right now. He's a busy fella. So I asked James over there, can I ask you, is your official first name Producer?
That is a great question. It's very confusing.
It is.
Where you know me from. If you know me from DL Weekly, Producer James is how I'm known there. If you know me from the Hub Crawl, where I show up occasionally, I have a reputation of being a construction manager. I run the bulldozer, so I tear things down.
Yes, you do.
And then in my prior podcast life, I was Arcade James, but that's a deep dig. So yeah,
so
lots of first names apparently.
We're gonna have to dive very deep to find Arcade James over there. But for now, he is Bantha Milk James. I have a new co-host. Don't worry, all you friends of Nick. Nick will be on every once in a while whenever he can. But I'm very excited about this because James is going to be a regular now, and we're going to be coming at you every other week. So expect to see a lot more Bantha Milk coming in the future, which is very, very exciting for me and for James, because I know when James apparently had his Arcade James podcast, that also kind of teetered off there. So now we're both excited to be doing our own show back, bigger, better, more often, whatever the case may be. I don't know. Have a lot with my hands going on right now, James.
It's easy to talk with your hands, and I'm very excited because it's so easy to talk about Star Wars things.
Yes.
So, this is a great opportunity. I'm glad to be around and get to know you a little better through our Star Wars lenses.
I love it. I love it very much. I'm very excited. But as you know, James, and as all of our fans know, that our show is also, it started out as, what was it? Beskar. Wait, it's, I don't remember the whole name before it was just Bantha Milk. But it was beers, something beverages, and Beskar and Bantha Milk. And it was too hard for everybody to remember, so we just shortened it to just Bantha Milk. But we started a tradition where we would have different drinks on the show. So James volunteered to hop on board with that. So James, you have a beer for us. So tell us what beer you have.
I do. So the area I'm from has a local brewery called Skeleton Crew Brew. And I figured, wow, that is the perfect kind of name to get started on with Skeleton Crew.
I love it.
Well, just imagine the pirates are a little more space themed, and we can really go with it. So I picked up their Hornswoggle Pineapple Cream Ale as something a little interesting on a nice summer day.
I like that. A cream ale is very nice. As anybody who knows that we're part of the Ears Up Network, Ears Up is sponsored by the 21st Amendment, or as all the cool people call it, the 21A. And their drink that they're promoting during the summer, because it's also a great summer drink, is the Hell or High Watermelon. So that is what I am drinking, is the Hell or High Watermelon from 21A. So go ahead, James. Let's crack those beers open. Very nice. Very nice. I'm going to have to get you one of these custom-made Bantha Milk glasses to pour your beer into.
A mug.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, usually a straight out of the can kind of guy.
There you go. Well,
with a lot of simplicity. So.
Nick likes to make fun of my how much head I always pour on my beers, because it always winds up starting out very nice, but then turning out bad. But this one wasn't bad. This is a good first pour for
pretty good.
for our new show here. So, yep. So
Love
cheers.
It.
So good. How's your wheat beer over there? Your cream?
It's a good cream beer. A little bit of pineapple, not as much as I was expecting, but I think I might be happy with that.
There you
So,
go. Yeah, sometimes you don't want too much pineapple. This one has a good watermelon aftertaste, which I really like. You get the beer up front, the beer taste up front, and then at the end you're like, hey, there's watermelon. I like that. So
watermelon's always one of those hard flavors to get right, I feel like, when it's not like an actual watermelon. So
yes,
any praise to that is always a win for me.
I agree 100%. So before we continue, do you want to tell us a little? You told us a little bit about yourself. Is there anything else you want to say about you before we continue, since you're going to be the regular over here all the time?
Oh, there's probably so much I should say because I feel like there's so much Star Wars like credentials and histories that I probably need to prove or talk about at some point. I guess I'll just say I skew a little bit younger on the side of Star Wars fandom, but I'm not a sequels trilogy youth yet.
Okay.
So coming up, I remember seeing Star Wars at home, but my first theater experience was The Phantom Menace. And when Darth Maul pulled out the second blade on his lightsaber, that was the moment I was sold. It is one of my favorite moments in film and cinema history of like, oh my gosh, this is so dang
This is
cool.
so
And then
cool.
everything after it was great.
That's right. So I know you've been to the Disneyland park a lot more.
Yep.
I'm sure you've also been in Disney World, knowing who you're married to.
Yep.
Did you build or did you? Because you can't build a two-sided lightsaber, right? I don't
think
can.
so. You can get an attachment to do that in the end, but
Okay.
since you get the little base point, you don't. But yes, I have gone through the lightsaber building thing, Savi's workshop. Such a cool experience.
Yeah, I have mine up there right behind me. That's the one that I built as well.
Very nice.
So,
I'll have to bring mine out one of these times. But
yes.
mine's downstairs by our board game collection.
Oh,
so
there you go. Did
I
you
went
buy?
very natural?
Yes. Did you buy a Darth Maul double-bladed lightsaber?
I haven't. My husband has been saying that we should because it's cool the double-bladed lightsaber.
Hold on,
That thing just seems so cumbersome.
You're gonna have to
taking that home in luggage is going to be hard enough. So
yeah, that definitely will be tough with the two blades. We did when we built ours. We built it and then went on a cruise.
Oh,
and
great time.
Yeah, it wasn't a Disney cruise, but it was a cruise. But they almost didn't let us on the ship with it. They were like, no, that can be a weapon. We're like, no, it's just a glass tube that will get broken. It can't. And they did let us on. But we were panicking there for a second because we had no place to put it. We were, on the boarding at the time, and we were like, but yeah, so it worked out.
You're the first people to go out of like Orlando or Long Beach or any of the other ports near the park to try to bring a lightsaber with.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? Like nobody has done this before us. So, but whatever. It worked out, so it was okay.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. Before we continue, let me hit up all the other shows on the Ears Up Network. We are on the Ears Up Network. So, of course, you have the main show, Ears Up. You have the Supreme Resort. They're a very good group of guys over there. They're very funny. Dan is very angry right now, but I think you could say that at any time. But
I mean, you kind of have to be angry if you want to be on a show that argues about why something's better, right?
Right, exactly. You have Puny Pod, which those guys talk all about Marvel, which is great. Did you see, speaking of Marvel, the Fantastic Four?
Yes.
I liked it.
It was so good.
Okay, good. My friend,
I have been waiting. Let's talk about Marvel in the Star Wars podcast.
Sure, why
I love
not?
Where we're going. I've been waiting for the Fantastic Four to actually work. It's like such a good franchise in my eyes. You have four very unique but well intertwined characters that go together. It's like they deserve something good.
Yeah,
And it
I
worked
agree.
because I think they skipped the origin story.
Right. They didn't need. We saw the origin story 3 times. Like,
Yes.
we don't need to see it again. And I tortured myself and watched the 2015 Fantastic Four.
Wow. You are braver than I am.
Yeah, it was. They changed everything. The origin story was completely different, and it was an entire origin story movie where it wasn't until the last line was, "Oh, we'll call ourselves the Fantastic Four," and then the movie, and I'm like, really? So that one was really bad. I really enjoyed this one. My one friend was telling me that Rotten Tomato ratings and stuff are down, and this and that. I thought it was a good Fantastic Four. So Puny Pod, I know they watch the movies and shows in order, so they're not going to watch it for 4 years from now.
Sounds right.
But when they get to it, I liked it. I thought it was a fun version of it. They also have Scraping the Vault, which they go through all the direct-to-DVD/VHS movies. They're coming to the end of that run because they stopped. I guess they're going to have to go to Disney Plus TV shows and movies next.
Direct to streaming.
Direct to streaming, that's right. And then last but not least is the Buena Vista Boys, which they do kind of what Scraping the Vault does, but with regular Buena Vista live action shows instead of the cartoons and ready for straight to streaming or straight to VHS stuff. So check out all those other shows on the network and watch this, James. You're going to be really impressed. Now it's time for...
Star Wars News.
Wow.
Is that pretty impressive? Star Wars news. So I'm going to hit up all the Star Wars news. When I'm done, James has his own segment, so we're not going to just listen to me all the time. So you'll be really excited to hear James's segment. But mine... news that's going on right now, I don't know if you've heard, but they have already announced New Hope returns to theaters for the 50th anniversary in April of 2027. So
get your tickets now. It might sell out in 2 years. So
you have 2 years before it sells out. But yes, on April 30th of 2027, we'll celebrate the 50th anniversary of Star Wars with the re-release of the 1977 classic back for a limited time in theaters everywhere. It's going to be running through May the 4th, which of course is a very important made-up Star Wars holiday. So you have plenty of time to worry about it, but you're going to start seeing a lot of, they already have a logo and everything for it with the 50th. I am older, but I did not see Star Wars in the movie theater because I was 4 when it first came out. So I didn't see that. I do vaguely remember seeing Empire Strikes Back in the theater.
nice.
So this is pretty exciting. I do remember rewatching it when they re-released them in like 1999, leading up to the prequels, leading up to the prequels. So I do remember seeing it then. So this will be exciting. But of course, we're not going to see the original 1977 because that's only on VHS or Laserdisc now.
I love that conversation online from people when this announcement came out. They were just like, which version is it going to be? And it's like, it's the latest one. We know they're just going to play whatever Lucas has decided at this point is episode 4, and that's what we get, and that's what we get to enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's still going to be awesome because it's the big screen and good audio, hopefully, in the theater that you're at.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll be fun seeing it. I mean, not everybody has a giant theater in their house so that they can, watch it on a 75-foot television. But, so it'll be fun. I'm excited for it. That happens, but we have to wait 2 years. Star Wars upcoming TV show, Maul Shadow Lord, will solidify... Sorry, this font is very small. Will solidify that it's time for Star Wars movies and TV shows to break some of George Lucas's biggest rules. Although details about Shadow Lord remains sparse at present, the title alone provides some hints to what is coming. For one, it's notable that the show dropped the Darth title for Maul, signaling that he is finally no longer a Sith. We also know that the show will be set sometime before Season 3 of Star Wars Rebels in the Star Wars timeline, given Maul's death in the show. Shadow Lord also means we will get a closer look at Maul's role as a crime boss, which was briefly shown in Solo: A Star Wars Story. There might not be much to go on, but it's enough to reveal that Shadow Lord will prove that it's more than time for Star Wars to deviate from George Lucas's traditions of basing the shows around good guys. So instead, they're
so excited.
Yeah. He's such a cool character. And even when they brought him back in Rebels, I think he was even better in Rebels. Because obviously, I mean, when we saw him in the movies, his lightsaber work was amazing. But he had, like, I think same number of lines that, like, Boba Fett did. Like, he had in less than teens of lines, I think.
It was 4. Like, it's literally like, at last we'll have our revenge. And that's all he says.
And that's all he says. So we were like, what? What are you talking about? So yeah, so when he came back in Rebels, it was amazing because we really got to, and even in Rebels, like, I'm like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Where's he going with this? So they really played a really good deal there where he was the antagonist and the protagonist, depending on which way you looked at it. Because he was just mad at the Empire, but he wasn't fully on the rebel side either, but he just didn't like the Empire. So he was stuck in the middle there. But it was pretty cool. And that's George Lucas's emphasis is always on hero's journey. So this is the first time that we're going to have one on a villain's journey. But, I mean, the Mandalorian isn't really a hero either, you know? So
we're living in the gray. It's wonderful. It's what we've kind of been waiting for because that can lead to a lot of better stories. And this, like, here's my hot take, or maybe I'm already going to get people booing at me for being on this host, but I actually enjoyed Solo: A Star Wars Story.
So
I know
it
has its faults and everything, but I think there was a lot to it. And the end of it is really one of the best moments where Maul shows up, Kira goes away. There's just a really great hook for what's to come. And I feel like this is going to finally answer that for us and give us some of that bigger Star Wars pictures, scoundrel world that we really just want to see what it could be. And having a character like this is going to be spectacular to see what he's like when he gets to lead.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I enjoyed Solo. There was, of course, one line in it that I hated, which was how he got his last name. I was like, okay,
it's terrible.
So bad. This is such a bad idea. But anyway, unlike if you heard me on the Hub Crawl, when I talked about how I did not like the live action version of Aladdin because they butchered the line, "Do you trust me?"
Yes.
So this one, I gave this one some. I still hate that line. Solo? Okay, you're by yourself? Okay, last name Solo. Really? Come on. But I like the rest of the movie enough that I was like, okay, I'll let it slide. But yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. And it was funny. I was actually rooting for Han Solo and I forget the girl's name, for the two of them to get back together. And I was like, Kira, yeah. I'm like, oh, this would be great. And I'm like, wait a minute. They can't get back together because he's with Leia. That silly goose of me. Speaking of Solo, why Harrison Ford rejected part of the original Star Wars script. This just came out because he did an interview with GQ where the line where Leia says, "I love you," and then the line was supposed to be, "I love you too," but he changed it to "I know," because he said that's the way Han Solo would have said it. So apparently he's the one that changed it. He said it just didn't feel right. Ford reacted with the "I love you too" line. It didn't feel like Han Solo. Instead of going with what was written, Ford offered up something fresh, a response that was short, cocky, and kind of heartbreakingly perfect, especially for the character. Ford explains the logic further in the interview. This is a guy who doesn't give it up easy. He's about to be put in a deep freeze. He doesn't want to be sentimental. He wants to say what he means without getting soft. So the "I know" line was great. And then I wonder, because later on in the movie, or even in the third movie, at some point, Leia says it back to him. So once he changed it, I can see the writers or George Lucas being like, no, that messes everything up. So then it was great that he changed it back, or she said it back to him later on.
Really embraced it.
Yeah.
So. It really is. It really is a true scoundrel moment.
Mm-hmm.
just so well done. And when you get an actor that gets lost in their character and just understands and does things like that, it's like, it's just masterpiece. We love that.
Love it. I love it too. It was a great line. I love the shirts where like normally the girl's wearing a shirt that says I love you, and then the boy has a shirt that says I know. But it would be even funnier if it was reversed.
It would.
So a couple more little things here. One, Star Wars Outlaws will land in September on Switch 2. So it's been on like PlayStation 5 and Xbox and all that stuff. But now they're making a version also for the Switch. So if you own the Switch, get excited because Star Wars Outlaws will be there.
And this is huge because like the original Nintendo Switch's hardware was pretty poor, and so they couldn't run a lot of these games like this. So now that Nintendo's upped it so much with the Switch 2 and that it can run so many things, like we're going to see a lot of good things. So the people like myself who have a Switch 2, I'm like, oh yay, this is the reality, and you can see the difference. Like one of my other fandoms I enjoy is Pokemon, and seeing just the difference between the Gen 9 Pokemon games of what it can run and what it can show, it's like this is incredible.
So much better. Do you do Pokemon Go still?
No, I've given that one up.
Okay.
So
it's funny. Every once in a while, a different group of kids, I'll see them because I'm a teacher, will be playing Pokemon Go. And I'll be like, oh, what do you have? And they're like, oh, I got all the best ones. And I'm like, oh, here's my my list. And they're like,
nice.
What? You have a shiny this, you have a shiny that. I'm like, yeah. But same thing. My son and I were playing it a lot a couple years ago. We got a lot of really good ones, and then we also have trailed off from it.
I'm too deep in the suburbs, so it's just too hard to really get anything of value for me. So.
Yeah, there was near us. There was this one park that has like a bunch of benches with plaques on them. So every single bench with a plaque was a Pokemon stop or a trainer battle or whatever, like all these things. And when it was really big, you would just see there'd just be like 40, 50 people sitting all around this one chair and just everybody just staring at their phone the whole time. A couple more news things real fast. Liam Neeson says Qui-Gon Jinn's death at the hands of Darth Maul in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, was a bit namby-pamby and unbefitting a Jedi Master. He says, the way they fight went down was the subject of Nielsen's ridicule. In an interview, this was in GQ, the other one was in Variety. In an interview with GQ to promote the launch of The Naked Gun, Nelson says, I felt my death was a bit namby-pamby. I like those words. I'm supposed to be a master Jedi, you know. He said, my character fell for that. Oh, I'm going for your face. Nope, I'm not. I'm going for your stomach. Oh, you got me. Oh, please, hardly a master Jedi. So I can see his point of view, but I also think that it was a good fight leading up to that.
Well, I think the big thing is at this point in the timeline, the Jedi aren't really aware that the Sith have returned, and so they don't really have a good history of remembering where the Sith's like power and ability actually is. So yeah, he's a Jedi Master and all that stuff, but it's like we don't have a good comparison of what a Sith apprentice or a Sith Master is going to be like at that point in time. So it was hard that we would have loved more of Qui-Gon Jinn, but kind of shaped a lot of the story.
Yeah, exactly. So it made Maul more exciting, but it made Qui-Gon, disappear too quick. We would have liked to seen him around a little bit longer.
Especially when you dig in the books, man. He's such an interesting character.
Yeah, exactly. The last one that I have is very exciting because I know you have you're independently wealthy and have extra money laying around, so you're going to get this lightsaber. Star Wars lightsaber could fetch $3 million in auction. A lightsaber used by Darth Vader in the original Star Wars film could fetch up to $3 million when it goes up for auction. Auctioneer prop store based in Buckinghamshire, that's in England, said that the movie Relic will be up for offer in a live sale in Los Angeles between 4 and 6 September. So between September 4th and 6th, it'll be up for auction in L.A. The weapon, which featured in films in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, is estimated to go for at least $1 million and could be snapped up for 3 times that figure. So anybody who has an extra $1 to $3 million laying around and is a huge Star Wars fan, find this auction house in LA. You can probably bid online, and you can buy yourself a fancy real prop from the movie of Darth Vader's lightsaber. So I think, can we put all our money together, James?
Yeah, I got I think $33 in my wallet right now.
Perfect. I have a credit card with a negative balance on it. So we're set to go.
We're set.
We are set. So that's the end of my news right there. So anybody who wants to donate $3 million to Bantha Milk Podcast, we'll buy the lightsaber for you. And then we'll hold it here in the Bantha Milk Studios, either here or halfway through the country.
Whichever one's closer.
Whichever one's closer, exactly. All right, so now it's up to you, James. You have a fun segment we're bringing back called
Jedi of the Week.
I need sound effects for that now.
Yeah, time to build another one. Yeah, so I get to talk about a new Jedi every time that we're here. And I figured since I am opening up the archive to talk about this, no better way to start than the beginning of the alphabet. And so the very beginning of our Jedi of the Week, the incredibly skilled and frankly super cool and underutilized Aayla Secura. Double A's. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong there. That starts it right away.
Yep. So if you're not sure who I'm talking about and you're just getting in there, she is a Twi'lek Jedi Master, and you can really see her appearances during the final days of the Galactic Republic. She made appearances in both Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, though, little glimpses, but she really deserved a ton more than just being a background character, a Jedi leading the clones into battle. So a little history on her. She was a Padawan of Quinlan Voss, who's a very interesting Jedi Master with a lot of kind of that gray kind of experience again as well. Actually, main protagonist in the book I'm reading, not spoiler. And their relationship meant really interesting experiences because of their relationship with the whole Jedi Order Jedi Council. And so they kind of ended up becoming a little bit of family between the two of them. And that led to Aayla struggling a little bit with the dark side as well in her time to figure out some of it. So she had a lot of nice complexity going to her as she was working through it. So that's her background. If you want to think about how you've seen her, which probably should have talked about sooner. So I said she's blue, and she has her really nice leku going as well. The nice little hair things that kind of hold out there. I don't know how else to describe a leku. But really in battle, super agile. She used Form 4, which is called Ataru, is how she was really fighting. So there's a lot of acrobatics and really moving quick as she went into combat. And she's always moving. So it was pretty interesting. So like I said, you saw her leading some troops inside of Clone Wars. And tragically, you saw her being turned on by the troops that she had built trust with during Order 66. She died on Felucia, the mushroom planet. And it's just tragic because, that whole scene and experience was really tragic because, and especially when you know a little about her and how much she really cared for the troopers around and got to know them like some of the Jedi did, it was like, there it was. So yeah, great with the Force, super capable, super interesting. Aayla Secura, one of the underrated gems that can use a little bit more time in the Star Wars universe. So start at the archives at the beginning. She's a good one. What do you think? Did I pick a good one to start with?
I think you picked a great one to start with. Yeah, there's nothing more exciting than a what's her species? Twi'leks. A Twi'leks
Yep.
Jedi. When I played Star Wars Galaxies, I don't know if you ever played that game or not.
I did.
But my friend Tom and I, we even played recently as well, because there's all these people who created their own servers now 20 years later and still host it and all that stuff.
Awesome.
I would always pick a Twi'leks as my character because I love the Leku. For those of you that don't know what a Leku is or what a Twi'lek, instead of hair, they just have these giant brain 2 tentacles that hang down off of their head, and it's their brains are in there. They're normally like dancers and stuff, so the fact that one made it all the way up to a Jedi is really cool. Kind of like when you see a Jedi Wookiee, it's very exciting because just imagine all that pure strength and then a Jedi on top of it. It's like unbelievable. So so she's awesome. I do like her, and like you said, we would have liked to seen a lot more of her. And also that goes right into our next segment, which is book talk. The fact that you can get more detail about all these characters that we don't really see very often, or we see just little bits of in the movies, and then people write books all about them. It's really exciting and it's really fun. So if you want to expand your Star Wars knowledge, you definitely want to start reading some of the Star Wars books. I am on a Timothy Zahn kick right now. He, for those of you that don't know, author-wise, he wrote the Thrawn books, which Thrawn is an amazing character, and a blue alien with red eyes. He's one of very few aliens that made a big jump in the Empire officer corps, because Palpatine is very human-centric. He only likes humans for all of his stormtroopers and everything. So the fact that there's an alien that made it all the way up, he made it all the way up to a general. His character was written by Timothy Zahn, and super, super smart. Over the summer, I read Choices of One, and then I read Allegiance, and then I realized as I'm reading them that I should have read them in the other order because they were a little bit backwards. But the one thing that I liked about Allegiance, and also in Choices of One, there were stormtroopers in Allegiance that left the Empire because they realized that they didn't like what the Empire was turning into. It wasn't what they were sold on, that the Empire was going to protect the galaxy. They're now seeing that the Empire is ruling with an iron fist, and they don't want to be a part of that. And one of them, this isn't a spoiler, it happens very early on, but he winds up killing an officer, and then they have to leave and run away. So they flee the Empire. They reminded me as I'm reading it of a Star Wars version of the A-Team, because there were like 4 guys. Each one of them had a different specialty. And I'm like, oh, this is Face. This is B.A. Brackus. B.A. Brackus. This is, who's the other one? Face, Hannibal, and Murdoch was the 4th one. So it was like they were like a Star Wars version of the A-Team. So it was a lot of fun because they were going around fighting like crime lords and stuff like that, just like the way the A-Team was. And so they were taking down crime lords, and they were doing things because they wanted the normal people to be safe. So that was a fun book. And now I'm reading Survivor's Quest, which takes place after all of that. In both of these, Mara Jade, who is not in any of the movies or TV shows. I don't think she's in any of the cartoons either.
Hasn't shown up yet.
She, and this is what we'll talk about later on in the big segment, which is, you know, the basics of Star Wars, because Olivia's actually in the chat right now. She brought it up to me. She's like, I would love to know just how, well, both of us, you were there. I don't know if you were listening at the time. I want to know just Star Wars, just the basics. I want Star Wars for beginners. So our big segment's going to be about Star Wars for beginners. But there's canon and there's legends, and canon is what Disney is saying is allowed. Before Disney bought it, there was people writing books, and the nice thing about the books, and when we didn't talk to Timothy Zahn, we talked to somebody else. I forget. I'll have to get back.
To James Luceno, and I'm so jealous of this.
Yes, he said to us, he was like, "Look, you can't kill anybody from the movies or anything like that in the books. So if there's ever like Luke Skywalker's in peril, oh no, what's going to happen? If it's in a book, nothing." Which is a downfall. You're like, okay, they have, as Nick always called it, they have plot armor.
Yes.
So you have that, but it is fun with the books when you get all new characters then, because then you don't know they could kill off the new characters because they're never going to be, not never going to be in the movies, but if you kill them off before they get to the movies, then it's okay, whatever. So it is fun learning all these new characters that are in the books, some of which never make it to the movies, like Mara Jade, for example. She was a dark Jedi, I guess you would call her, because she never made it to Sith level. She was the hand of the Empire. She worked directly for Palpatine. But then as time goes on, she winds up falling in love with and marrying Luke Skywalker, which also is a whole big thing because Jedi weren't supposed to get married and all that good stuff. But this book takes place after they've been married for 3 years. So I need to find the middle ground here where they fall in love and all that good stuff. That's in one of the Thrawn trilogy books that he wrote, like 5 or 6 different Thrawn books. So I'm all over the place there because I read 3 different books and I don't normally read a lot of books. So I was excited to share all of my knowledge. So, yeah, so that's what I'm reading. What are you reading right now, James?
I am reading Star Wars Dark Disciple. This is an interesting book where we're back in time, and the Jedi Council has decided the best course of action to end the war is to go and assassinate Count Dooku. It's a weird choice because Jedi protectors, and so they're doing that. And so they decide to send Quinlan Voss, a Jedi that is known for a little bit of his gray ambiguity with things as he goes through it. And Obi-Wan recommends that he teams up with Dooku's former apprentice, Asajj Ventress. Know about if you're into the Clone Wars series and other TV things. And so there's a lot of complication with right and wrong that's going on throughout this book as they're going through those escapades and running into just hurdle after hurdle as they're figuring this out.
Yeah, it is a good book. I read it. I was looking as you were talking about it for it. I can't find it behind me. I have all my Star Wars books on the shelf behind me. But yes, I did read that. It was a good book. I enjoyed that as well. So either one of these books I highly recommend. Dark Disciple or anything by Timothy Zahn, I highly recommend.
They're
that
all
as well.
good.
They're all so good. I really enjoy his writing style. I was saying to my wife about how I was reading some other book, a Star Wars book. It's the only Star Wars book that I actually had to ever put down. And it was like written in the 80s, and you could tell it was written at a time when they got paid by the word.
Oh, no.
Because it was like so many adjectives and adverbs, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, just get to the point. You don't need the one sentence with 27 words describing. Just say it was hot. That's all you have to do. Like
It's so easy.
It's so easy. We don't need 27 words to say how hot it was and whatever. So, yeah, so that's that. All right. Well, we are going to take a quick commercial break. And then when we come back, we are going to get into our main topic, which is Navigating the Galaxy, a newbie's guide to Star Wars, right after this break.
So good, so good, so good.
Ready to rack to school and save big? Get to your Nordstrom Rack store today for thousands of deals from just $20.
Because I want to look fresh.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
I got a new backpack.
Score everyone's favorite denim, sneakers, boots, and activewear from Nike, Levi's, Steve Madden, Madewell, and Free People. Great brands, great prices. Everyone's got a reason to rack. Shop Nordstrom Rack and make it the best school year ever.
James, you going to buy that?
No.
No, you're not going to buy it? Okay.
No.
I was thinking about it, but I don't know. If you're not going to get it, then I'm not going to get it. So hopefully somebody does buy it because it was a good commercial. There was a wonderful commercial. I hope you enjoyed that commercial. Yep. All right. So do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Well, I was really excited for this topic when it got pitched to us. And I'm like, this is great. I'm going to make a huge splash as I come on for my first show in the official co-hosting duties and be like, hey, I solved Star Wars. There is no single answer, but I think there are a lot of pathways that could help out along the way. And so I think there are good options, and you just have to kind of hear what resonates for you as we think about Star Wars, because the universe is maybe a little too vast.
Right, I agree. So I typed into ChatGPT for some helpful hints here.
Great
And
idea.
before you did it, I want to say key Star Wars terms to know. 1, the Force. It's a mystical energy that gives Jedi and Sith their power. Think of Jedi and Sith as wizards. If you were in Harry Potter, you would be a Jedi or a Sith. So they're space wizards. Jedi is the other word. Look at that. Peacekeepers who use the light side of the Force. The light side, good guys. And then Sith, the dark side users, often the villains. Has there been Sith who aren't villains? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I mean, there have probably been Sith that have been maybe not necessarily evil, but still evil in this things.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, like, if we see Ahsoka season 2, we have the guy with the orange lightsaber, but we don't know what his deal is. The Empire's the evil government in the original trilogy. The Rebels' resistance, they're the underdog heroes fighting against the Empire. Droids, intelligent robots like R2-D2 and C-3PO, and also the mouse droids, which are very unintelligent, I would say. And then the last key Star Wars terms are lightsabers, glowing laser swords. Yes, they're awesome. So that's what key Star Wars terms that ChatGPT wants you to know before you dig deep into how to understand Star Wars.
Oh, good. All right. So if I'm giving pitches, the first pitch is the easy one that everyone's going to throw out and is just the way to do it. It's, hey, just watch it as the rest of us did. Start with episode 4 as it happened. It's a great introduction to what truly is the core characters of the universe. But it's different than the time of films we have now. It is a slow-moving movie. The special effects, while groundbreaking in the 70s, were groundbreaking in the 70s.
Yep.
And that's probably the two biggest hangups I'd say any standard TV watcher, film watcher now would run into when they get into this kind of story.
Yeah, I know a lot of people complain going from like episode 3 or even then into Rogue One before going to episode 4 that how big and powerful and vibrant those episodes are. A lot of fast lightsabers, a lot of good graphics. And I think George Lucas, when he did 1, 2, and 3, now that he had the computer capability, he overused it so that it was way too computer-generated looking. And then if you're watching it in order, and then you get to 4, and you're like, bam, So you have to keep in mind, if you're going to watch 1 through 9 straight through, the time that they take place. But 4, 5, and 6 is when, like you said, we are introduced to Star Wars as a society. So that's a good way to start. There's, people say either start that way or start in chronological order. I also think like younger kids, episode 4 would walk out of the living room. They would be bored.
Yes. We've hosted our fair share of European exchange students, and a good handful of them hadn't seen any Star Wars in their life. And so as we would introduce them, we kind of have to figure out what's it going to be. And so our first set, we did episode 4, and they're just like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't need to see anymore. Yeah.
No. But then when they saw episode 1 or episode 7, it was a whole different experience. And so at least in the time frame of that generation, like they wanted it faster. They care about what it looks like. And so having that episode 4 stuff just didn't work for that.
Yeah. Yeah. My son is same thing. He's turning 21 in a couple of days from now. But he same thing. He could care less about 4, 5, and 6. He's watched them because I made him watch them. But he really liked, Darth Maul in episode 1. He's like, no, it's so much better. And I'm like, but it's not. But, it's all how you look at it. So, yes. So, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting. Continue. So, start with.
You're good. You're good. So, that's option 1.
Right.
If you want to live with how people have grown up with it and are ready to see it for the time that it was, it's a good way to do it.
And also keep in mind also, people make a very big deal about Leia and Luke kissing. It is fun to talk about. It is fun to make fun of. They didn't know they were brother and sister when she gave him a kiss, and she also gave him a kiss to make Han jealous. So there's a whole big thing there. It's not as gross as everybody makes it out if you read online. Oh, but you kissed your brother. Okay, she didn't know it, blah, 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 whatever. Moving on, sorry.
Yep. All right. Pathway number 2. I think this is a good argument. I believe George Lucas says this in Light and Magic and will always say that Star Wars is made for kids. I think that's where the nostalgia comes from. When you think about what trilogy for the Star Wars fans out there they love, it's the one that they saw when they were kids, and so it sticks with them. And so I think if you can embrace your inner child, you should start with the Clone Wars series. It is giving you the introduction to this mythical Clone Wars. You meet Jedi versus non-Jedi, and you get the focus on just a couple of really core characters of the story. And Ahsoka, who isn't quite as core, but is probably one of the more interesting characters in there. And you get a nice cartoon series that you can go through. If you really get invested into it, you can watch through certain points and then jump into some of the films or TV shows when it makes sense to go into those. But you can really just kind of get this experience of the big galaxy, but in a small lens of it. And it gives so much background without being overwhelming that when you get to the movies and the other stories, you have that background that you're going with in like 20 or 40-minute episodes. I don't remember which one they are. I think they're 20-minute episodes.
Yeah, I think they're 20-minute episodes.
Easy to digest. Great to do.
And it is, the Clone Wars turn out amazing, but you can tell when they started it, they really didn't know where they wanted to go with it, because the first season is like a lot of all over the place, and there's a couple of episodes in that first season that are clearly designed for kids. Like there's one episode where like R2-D2 and C-3PO are just like on a quest of some sort, and they're just wandering around, and it's if you're a kid, you love it because there's a lot of bebops and boops and all that good stuff. But there's really, the storytelling in some of that is pretty bad. But if you can fight through it, it gets a lot better as it goes on. And especially if you're watching it as an adult, it gets really deep, and you really do, like you said, learn a lot more about these characters through a cartoon. I think there's been a lot of good cartoons. Rebels is another great cartoon.
Yep.
The Clone Wars. I watched The Resistance. That was more for kids than like Rebels was. But between Rebels and Clone Wars, those two are great storytelling that are just done in cartoon, because it's a lot cheaper to do it in a cartoon version than it is to do a live version.
Yep. So are.
Yeah. So I definitely think watch that first if you're a kid, or even if you like cartoons. Definitely, it's a great intro. Yes.
Embrace your inner child and go with it. Yeah. Because especially if you're going to introduce like a kid of yours maybe to Star Wars along with you, or you're figuring that out, Clone Wars is a great place to go. Young Jedi Adventure is the other one that they're kind of going out there with preschool. I got Nubs on the bed behind me, so you can see that. we're on board with this. It's cute. It's playful. It's simple to go with. It doesn't really give you much of the Star Wars universe. It's more of that like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse style thing. So you're not going to get a lot of Star Wars out of that one. But if you want your preschool age kid to start thinking about Star Wars and what if with that one, maybe do that and then get into the Clone Wars and go from there.
Yeah,
I think Rebels has too much lore around it to recommend as a starting point, but gosh, it is such a good series.
Yeah, I think after you watch Clone Wars, then Rebels is a good next step, because it definitely has so much. And although the first episode of Rebels was in my opinion, a complete copy of Aladdin.
It was.
Ezra is such an Aladdin character in that first episode, but they turn into a nice big family there at the end, and it's really, really good. It's really awesome. All right,
really.
So we have the order, depending on how you want to do it. Start in episode 4 or start in episode 1, or if you want to really introduce yourself, start with the Clone Wars.
Yep.
What else do you have for us?
Option 3, modern Andor is a very small contained story that doesn't feature Jedi in it. So the idea of the big struggle inside the galaxy, has a little bit of more of that like spy vibe with lots of characters and interesting conflict that's going on inside of it. It's just really good like storytelling about the real feeling of oppression that's out there and everything that's going with it. And so I think it's a really compelling story as you go through it. The main actor is still hot out in the world, so people are all on board with watching everything that he's going on in, and it's not overwhelming, but you still get a lot of touch points into it, and then you can watch it. So there's 2 seasons of Andor, and then I like to joke there's season 3 of Andor, which is Rogue One, a Star Wars story, because it's basically what it becomes. And I think that gives you a really good gateway into, is the Star Wars universe kind of going to be for me? Or do I need to see the Jedi and the Force involved with it? In which case you have the hook to get you into episode 4 and start working through it. And then that's where you can maybe open the door for the machete order argument, but that might be a future take on this one. But yeah, option 3, Andor.
I love Andor. Andor was the best Star Wars writing, and over half of the time, you almost forget that it's Star Wars. Because like you said, there's no lightsabers. If you're into war movies or war documentaries or things like that, this is a great way to watch Star Wars without knowing that you're watching Star Wars. And my one friend posted that there are 4 trilogies in Star Wars. And now the Andor season 1, season 2, and then the Rogue One movie is the 4th trilogy of Star Wars. And I agree. I think it totally is, because the way they end Andor season 2 going right into Rogue One, the movie, it's awesome. So yes, that's a great way to also watch it, is by watching the new stuff. And that's also the not any part of the Skywalker saga, which means there's no Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, any of those that there's none of those Skywalkers in it, but it's still Star Wars, and it still gets you involved. And like you said, Rogue One ends where Episode 4, A New Hope, begins. So it can take you all right into there. Olivia says, will I understand Andor if I start with that as an intro? Or should I do a couple of movies or Clone Wars first?
I think you can follow, and you're getting into like an Empire versus beginning of a rebellion story. And I think they lay that out pretty well without it. And I think it kind of lives in that moment that it's okay. But I think you described it well. It's not like bluntly Star Wars in your face, because you don't have the lightsaber battles that Star Wars is known for. But I think you could follow along with this show just as easily as you follow along with any other show that you pick up and watch. Yeah,
so I agree. I think it would be... It really depends on what you want to get out of Star Wars also. Do you just want to watch the movies? That's fine. Do you want to just have an understanding of Star Wars? Or do you want to really immerse yourself in it? If you want to really immerse yourself in Star Wars, then I would go with Andor first, because it's great writing. The problem is season 2. I think season 1 is also 12 episodes, so it's a lot of episodes, and they're pushing an hour each episode around. So that's where it's a time commitment. You're going to be, if you're going to start with Andor, you're going to be spending more time watching it than if you were to watch almost all 9 movies. So it depends on what kind of commitment and what kind of, how deep you want to dive. If you really want to get into it hardcore, start with Andor. It's going to be really good storytelling. It's going to be really good writing. If you just want to say, I've never watched Star Wars before in my life, I need to watch Star Wars, I would probably start with episode 4 and then watch 4, 5, and 6. And then be like, okay, I like this. And then you can go backwards to 1, 2, and 3. Mr. P's on. He said, what if I want a whole Star War?
That's a really good question.
That is a great question, Mr. P. I think then you should just take off for a week and do nothing but watch all of the movies, TV shows, episodes. Watch it all, and then you'll have your own entire Star War. I think that's what you should do.
Or that's when you just have to go into the video games, pick up a copy of Star Wars Battlefront and play through that, and you get lots of Star War happening inside of that.
Yeah, you could even do that. You can just immerse yourself in the games as well, and that would be a fun way to really get into it. He says he wrote LOL and cheers. So cheers to you too, Mr. P. Here's to you, sir. All right, so you can also, if you depending on how fast you read, you can be like us and read the books. And I'm not into comic books personally. I have nothing against them. I think they're awesome, but I just never got into reading them. But if you wanted to get into them on a cheaper thing, because I think comic books are, only a couple of bucks. I don't know what they are now, maybe $5-10 maybe at the most. But they're fun. They're fun, quick reads, and then they can get you into it as well.
The comics are great.
Yeah.
I started a couple years ago. I tried to start reading through all Star Wars media and canon media in chronological order. So this was before Republic stuff was coming out, so I didn't have any of those. And that included reading the comics. And I was not a comic reader before then. I have one set of comic books, which is like Captain America stuff. And I just never did comics. And so I did it for this. And they have been probably my favorite part of going through this media, just for how good and concise the stories are. And just a little bit of like lore nuggets that they throw in. And they're just good stories throughout. And the art is great.
Yeah, the art's amazing.
Comics.
All right. What else do you have? Do you have anything else for us?
Those are my big ones. The only other thing that I run into is I think Star Wars War is what we call a machete order.
Wait, hold on.
So if you're not familiar with this concept.
Okay, go ahead. Do it again.
Yeah. So the only other thing that I would probably bring up in this discussion is what people call the machete order. And so I'm not sure if you're familiar with this concept, but people who have never seen Star Wars, and especially if you're oblivious to everything Star Wars related, people talk about watching episode 4 and 5 and then going back and watching at a minimum 2 and 3, 1, 2, and 3 by some recommendations, mine included, before going on to 6. Because it kind of reshapes some of the story as you're taking in Star Wars. There's a couple of big moments in episode 5 that if you start at 1, don't quite have the same merit for you, the watcher. So you're just having to take on what the character sees and really embrace that. But I also think at this point in our society that you know what's coming.
Right. Yeah, there's so many other versions of what order to watch them in. Also, once we get into all the TV shows with, like you said, the Clone Wars, Rebels, The Mandalorian, Andor, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, The Book of Boba Fett, Skeleton Crew, if you really wanted to watch it in chronological order, you'd have to throw those in between there as well. I actually think my favorite of all the new Star Wars stuff, before it's really, I keep going back and forth in my head, but I'm pretty sure Mandalorian is my number one favorite new TV show. I think Andor is a 1B to Mandalorian's 1. But if you wanted to watch fun Star Wars, the first season of Mandalorian is so fun. So I think if you wanted to just get into it and just be like, wow, because it was there was always this talk of a Boba Fett movie and a Boba Fett TV show before they had Book of Boba Fett. And they were unsure if, once again, the George Lucas thing about a bad guy leading the show, Boba Fett being a bounty hunter, not being a good guy, they were like, what? Can he carry a show? So they were waiting to see what happened with Deadpool and if people like Deadpool or not, because Deadpool in Marvel is not a hero. He's a mercenary, but he's also the star of the comic book and then of the TV series, and it was a hit. So then they were like, "Oh, let's do it," but then somehow it still got shelved. But then they came up with this Mandalorian instead, who was a bounty hunter, who's a Mandalorian, but not Boba Fett. But he did all the things that we wanted Boba Fett to do if they had a Boba Fett show. And then they had the Boba Fett show, and he was nothing that we wanted Boba Fett to be.
No. No, he wasn't.
No. And Mr. P says that he had the opposite of Andor 1 and Mandalorian 2nd, but also super close. What about you? What do you think of the TV shows?
Andor's my top.
Okay.
Yep, easy. It's just so well written. The characters are great. The acting's great. Mandalorian, probably second for me. I'm eager to see how Ahsoka builds out a little bit more as we go through that. Obi-Wan I struggle with because I had high expectations, and it's just not living up to that one for me. But yeah, I think Mandalorian was just so refreshing when it came out. And like you said, that first season can stand alone, can tell great stories and building great things. Once you start digging deeper, though, then you start getting introduced to new characters or have questions, or you have to watch the Book of Boba Fett to watch season 2.5 basically of The Mandalorian.
Yeah. just the scenes in Book of Boba Fett that are the Mandalorian scenes, and you'll be great. Because if you don't watch those, when it comes to the next season, you're like, wait, what's going on? I missed something. But yeah, that was a little weird that they did that. But so I might even say start with The Mandalorian. It's not as deep and as heavy as Ahsoka is, or as Andor is.
That's true.
Andor's writing is so good. It's such a good series. But Mandalorian is a lot more fun Star Wars stuff. Especially
it has that outer rim, the life on the edge, scoundrel lifestyle that Star Wars really kind of embraced. It's what is life on the edge of the Empire, if the Empire is around, right?
Yeah. And for those of you, since this is a beginner guide, the outer rim, the way the galaxy is set up, the inner planets are all the more sophisticated planets. And then the further away you get from the center of the galaxy, it gets more slumlordish and more crime higher areas and a little bit more sketchy than the inner city, the well built up cities. It's kind of like if you were to go move all the way out to where James lives. It's very sketchy out there.
Yeah. We're not in the core worlds of the East Coast.
You're not in New Jersey where all the good things happen. So unfortunately, I don't think there's a right answer here at all as to how to watch Star Wars. It comes down to what kind of commitment are you willing to put out to it.
You say unfortunately. I think this is a fortunately thing, because I think that's one of the best things about the Star Wars universe is just how vast it is. There's a place for everyone in this universe. There's a story that everyone can enjoy. But there's a lot of them out there. So you need a friend who can tell you, yes, this is what you're here looking for. This is what you need.
Yeah, exactly. And Olivia just wrote back, helpful. I only know the Outer Rim as a delicious cocktail at Olga's Cantina.
And now you have context.
Exactly. So then finally, my chat GPT here has got a couple of extra things. It says, what makes Star Wars so special? It's more than just sci-fi. It's about struggling with who you are. So when you're, who is Luke Skywalker? Han Solo especially had a big struggle. And even in the books, they get into it a little bit more. Like Han's like, I'm not part of the rebels. But everybody's like, but you are. And he's like struggling with, does he want to fully commit to being a rebel? Or does he just want to get in and get out? And even if you look deeper into the real Harrison Ford, the end of Empire Strikes Back, he's put in Carbonite because Harrison Ford didn't sign a contract for a third movie, and he wasn't sure if he wanted to do it or not. So they were like, okay, well, we'll suspend you in Carbonite. If we can convince you to do the third movie, we'll release you from the Carbonite. If not, you'll just be stuck there, and you'll be on Jabba's wall forever. So I can't even imagine Star Wars with Han Solo just still stuck in carbonite after all these years. So I'm so happy that he came back. It's also about finding your place in the world. And I think Rebels is really good with that topic of finding your place in the world, because they're really trying to find, they're at the very beginning of the rebellion. So it's very helpful with that one, and believing that even the smallest voice can make a huge impact. And I think you can see that in Andor a lot. So there's a couple of things there. If you feel like you can connect to any one of those three, then you definitely want to get into Star Wars. And then this says final tips for newbies. Don't worry if you don't know everything. No one does. Not even two people doing a podcast about it. We still don't know everything.
Nope.
Skip around if something doesn't hook you. Try another era or a character. So if you try Andor first and you say, this is too deep, I don't want to do this, this doesn't make sense, try something else. And then it says watch with friends or join a fan community. It's more fun that way, which it is. So there you go. So that's my closing remarks. What about you? What else do you have for us? Anything else?
I think you nailed that really well. I think find your place, and if now is not the right time, try again later.
Yeah.
There's plenty out there. There's plenty of good TV out there. There's plenty of good fandom. There's plenty of good books. There's plenty of good comics. You can find your place in the galaxy.
I agree. Well, I think we are pushing over an hour here, and nobody really wants to listen to us talk for more than an hour anyway. So I think that's a great place to put a button on it, to end it, to say goodbye. And you're going to have to do this with me now. So we'll be back in 2 weeks. I think I'm going to, we're going to be doing this live on Monday nights on YouTube. So you can check us out every other Monday here live on YouTube. And I'm going to try and release them. I'm going to release them on Wednesdays. There's going to be a whole lot of podcasts coming out on Wednesdays. So we're going to be part of that, so you can check it out. Because I was thinking of doing it Thursdays, giving everybody a little break from all the other stuff that comes out on Wednesdays. But some of the news gets old real fast. So I didn't want it to be too many days away where suddenly you're like, oh, that happened already. So, so I think I'm gonna shoot for Wednesday releases. Thank you to our fans that have been in the chat with us. Hopefully, as we go on, we get even more. Olivia and Mr. P are there hanging out with us. Mr. P's got his own little thing, spinning records there over on Twitch. So go check him out over there, spinning records on Twitch. He does. It's really neat. I love the entertainment value of the DJing, the way he does it, and all that good stuff. And also he interacts with the people as well. So it's a lot of fun. And Olivia, we're gonna hear her on the Hub Crawl after show called Spokes Wiki. There we go. That's Mr. P for you. We're going to see Olivia over on Spokes, the Hub Crawl after show. So we're going to have that as well. So, so thanks to them for joining us. Thanks for everybody for watching us. Now that we're going to be a lot more consistent with our shows, for those of you that have missed out on us, we'll be back a lot more, and tell your friends. And as our good friend Eric always says, if you want to rate us in your Star Wars and your podcast catchers and all that good stuff, please give us 5 stars. We really need them. So, James, this is where we end. Nick always says first, but I'll say it, and then you can just repeat after me for this one so that you know. Okay. We have spoken.
Yes, we have spoken.
Olivia, that's a Star Wars term. All right, I'm going to stop.